Hello, nerds, and welcome to the Engadget Podcast. I am your host, Terrence O'Brien. Joining me this week, to my right, senior editor, Devindra Hardawar.
Hello, I'm dead right now.
You're dead right now.
Yes.
So we're essentially having a seance.
Yeah.
Awesome. And to my left, reviews editor, Cherlynn Low.
I am kind of psychic.
You're kind of psychic?
Kinda. I know when it's raining.
You know when it's raining, and that makes you psychic.
That's
I
perfectly.
think animals can do that, Cherlynn.
Yeah.
You're an animal. I'm not going to be aggressive today, so I take that back. You're not an animal.
I like the mantra. We haven't. It's been like 10 seconds.
Today I'm going to be really nice.
Okay.
I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to be aggressive.
Okay.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be a
Stay up.
tough one today.
Just hold it together. Everything
4
will
more
be
years,
okay.
guys. 4 more years.
As promised, this week is going to be a little bit more normal. If you joined us
Yeah.
last week, it was a bit of a downer, but I think an essential conversation. This week, we're back to a more regular show for you. And in that spirit, let's just jump right into it and start with Flame Wars, guys, as we do every week. For those of you who don't know how this works, we're going to debate the biggest topics and stories of the week. Devindra and Cherlynn, you'll have 20 seconds to make your opening statements, at which point I'll allow a brief rebuttal, and then I'll declare a winner. And, you know, we've got a leaderboard. There's stuff that's going to happen at CES. We'll figure it all out. Don't worry. It's all
a
gonna be
thing.
fun.
Yeah.
Can I just something? Can you move the buzzer here?
Move the buzzer here.
So I can touch it.
No.
I don't know if I
You're
want to
not,
do
you're
that.
not in charge,
I'm
Cherlynn.
going to download a buzzer.
You're a contestant.
I'll
I'm so
put it. I'll
yeah,
put it right
that's
here.
good. That's good.
So this way, it is near you.
Yeah.
But should I decide you're out of line, I can just, you know,
I'm never
give your
out
hand a
of
little
line.
slap.
I'm so sweet. Oh my god. Yeah.
So yeah, let's do this. We got some interesting things to talk about this week. Let's start off with some pure gadget talk to make the OGs out there a little bit happy, a little bit more comfortable, because I'm sure they're still reeling from an hour and a half.
Let's cleanse our palate.
Yeah.
With some gadgets.
By the time this goes up, this episode goes up, our review of the Surface Studio should be live, I believe. And we're not going to dig too deep into it this week, but I think it's sort of interesting that we've seen this move increasingly towards laptops, and this is sort of the odd man out. All of a sudden, somebody's pushing even Apple has kind of given up on the iMac at this point to a certain extent. It very rarely gets updates. At least anything significant.
Right.
So my question to you guys is, does the Surface Studio actually make all-in-ones relevant again, or should everybody just kind of keep buying laptops? Devindra, let's start with you.
I think it does make all-in-ones relevant for a certain audience, that audience of creatives who needs a lot of power and bigger screens than just a typical laptop. So I like what Microsoft is doing with the Studio. Check out my review. But hopefully it'll inspire other companies too, because all-in-ones can be really interesting.
Cherlynn, your rebuttal?
All-in-ones have been around for years and years now. They've never really done all that well, especially when they're not made by Apple. I mean, I think the Surface Studio has a lot of interesting features going for it, but it also applies to a very niche audience who can really get away with a mini PC that's very powerful and their own big monitor that they can customize themselves. Done!
That is one of the first times you've come in under
That's
time.
not true. That's not true. Go look at our archives. I've been amazing.
I don't know.
Been really good at this.
So yeah, So what kind of professional, though, is this really for, Devindra? Like, who is served better by this giant all-in-one than by, say, just a pretty powerful laptop?
It depends on what you're looking for, I guess. If you want value, yeah, it probably does make more sense just to get like a mini PC and a monitor and put a whole system together. But what amazes me about this thing is it's a single device. You just plug into the wall and boom, instant, powerful computer with a nice screen. I think artists, especially people who have very specific aesthetic needs and who don't want all that clutter, something like this could be really useful. And honestly, we're getting some great hardware now that can make all-in-ones a lot more interesting moving forward. And I like the bendy screen. That stuff is cool. It works well.
Did he just run out of time there? Something just started beeping.
Yeah, it was, I apparently failed to mute.
I'm sorry, I'm being nice today.
I failed to mute my laptop.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, silence. Phones off.
I got my own buzzer, guys.
Oh,
You no longer yield
the
the
power.
or wield the power.
This is not good.
This is going to go terribly.
I was paying attention to half of what you said because that buzzer thing.
Yeah, Cherlynn was
But
just
yeah.
looking off in the distance.
You're very good at this.
Yeah, listen, I wasn't even supposed to be on today. I blame you, Terrence.
That's very true. You were a last-minute substitution.
I know. I'm not even wanted on this show most of the time, so it's okay. But I think, like I said, and Devindra makes my points for me, it's got a very specific niche audience. AIOs...
I'm not denying it.
I know. I'm saying you're making my point for me. It's not necessarily, like, if the question is that they're relevant again and if we should be buying something else to replace it, there are a lot of perfect substitutes out there that could work. There's you can get your home PC. You can get, like, all the PCs are looking better these days. They're smaller. They're still equally powerful, even more so. And you can hook up all the peripherals you want.
They're more complex is the thing. There's a simplicity to an all-in-one where you just get the thing, you plug it in the wall.
It's so limited. You can't really customize it for the kind of
there's not much customization, but there's powerful hardware in there. And the screen, we haven't even mentioned the screen, but the screen goes down. It bends down with one finger. It's insane.
Cool. That is cool. But I'd rather get a digitizer and, attach it to my PC.
I mean, it's a thing. It's definitely just a start. It's a much stronger start than Microsoft's first Surface.
Oh, yeah.
RT laptop, which was a piece of trash. But this is just great, and it's really interesting to me to see how they're kind of upgrading what they've learned too. Like the hinges from the Surface kickstand kind of directly led to the Surface Books hinge, and now has led to this crazy 80 spring system where you can basically maneuver a 12. Come on, Cherlynn. Maneuver a 12-pound screen.
I can't help I'm popular. I'm sorry.
There is such a thing as do not disturb.
Cherlynn took out her phone, flicked the mute button, and it's still making noise.
I had to unmute it because I wanted to make the buzzer sound. But anyway, I'm sorry for interrupting you like you did me 100 times. Man. But
why am I even here?
Very good point. The hinge is cool.
It's a specific thing. It's not world changing, and the dial is really cool.
I was gonna say that's the only thing that looks really cool to me. But again, I don't like having to reach across my desk. I don't like having to stand up and move the hinge down. There's just so many. Ooh, sorry.
You don't have to stand up.
Do you not have to stand up to kind of shift it down?
You can.
All right.
It's easy enough for a 5-year-old to maneuver the screen, which is kind of insane.
Okay, I would like to see that.
Yeah.
Whenever you have a 5-year-old, I would plunk them in front of a Surface Studio.
I'm kind of excited to play with the Studio at some point. I'm gonna give this round to Devindra.
Of course.
Sorry.
Can I just say I claimed the Pro at first?
Yeah.
And then
this
lost
is actually my win. Yeah. I actually won.
You won?
Yeah, I actually won that.
I do think it is relevant only to a small niche of people, but it is finally at least making all-in-ones, I think, again, relevant to anybody.
Well, do you think then the competitors will come in and try to make a Surface Studio
That is part of the point, right? That's what happened with the Surface laptops and everything, so... Yeah, hopefully.
So that's okay.
I mean, we saw there's that company. I forget, is it Aura or something? They stuck a desktop CPU and a desktop graphics card in a 34-inch ultra wide all-in-one. That thing sounds insane. It's actually even cheaper than the Surface Studio. So it's crazy what people are doing.
What is the starting price for the Surface Studio? By the way,
$3,000.
See,
buddy,
relevant my butt. I mean, hi. I'm super nice. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Whatever. I'm gonna win the next two anyway. So.
So let's move on to a little bit more gadget talk, and let's talk about the MacBook Pro. Originally, we were going to spend a little bit more time on this, just a little inside baseball, but unfortunately, Dana Woolman, who did the review, had to bail on the podcast last minute. So we're relegating this to Flame War, since none of us have actually spent much time with it, I don't think.
I played with it a little when she was playing with it. The touch bar looks cool.
Yeah. But one of the things here, I think, is that's most interesting to me is not just that it has this touch bar, but that it basically got rid of all the ports. It did away with a lot of things that I think people relied on a professional grade laptop for. And so my question is this kind of just Apple doing what it does and kind of being ahead of the curve and looking to the future, or is this them actively flipping off their customers? And Cherlynn, I'm going to let you go first.
The
here.
queen of flipping off people.
Can I? Anyway.
Yeah.
I am allowed to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And
this is an
Apple does
podcast,
not.
Mostly.
Apple does not actively flip off its customers. In its past and its history, as much as I hate to say this, they've been very thoughtful about the products they've made and really accommodated a lot of different use cases. In this case, it does seem like they're. No, wait, no. This is you started way too early because I was still asking if I could flip people off. Like
I mean,
have to
that's
ask
not my
permission
fault
for
that you wasted precious time asking whether or not
Wow,
you could give
you didn't
Devindra
say
the finger.
go. You didn't say go. I'll stick a finger anyway. But years. Can I just 5 seconds? Okay.
I will give you 3 seconds.
Years from now, we're gonna look back on this and be like, "Oh, what was the big deal we were making?"
Devindra.
Calm.
I like how that's always the argument for Apple doing terrible things. Years from now, we'll
That's
be
not
fine with
always-
it. It's I think this is a terrible move. You can't even plug in the new iPhone into this computer because Apple doesn't include the cables. It's really stupid in general. Yeah.
Am I supposed to talk now?
I mean, you can take the rest of his
Finer
time
debate.
if you want.
Okay. I'm not an Apple fangirl. I do not generally love.
You're the one who
all
asked for a
video.
PC when you came to.
Yes, I am the one person that asked
Literally.
for a PC. And so I don't like not being able to access everything that I want to, but I think over time, having actually started to play with MacBooks and more Apple devices, I've found them to be more well-rounded in general. So even, the thing is, I still don't think the argument here is that they're flipping off their customers. They're not doing something just because they can. They're doing something because they actively believe this is the way it's going to be in the future. So if that's the argument here, I win.
Yeah, but they have no evidence for that, really. Like they don't.
No,
completely
really?
shifting
Every single phone I see
the
now
touch
is
bar.
USB-C.
We're talking
Okay,
about the
okay.
touch bar, and the touch bar is a garbage bar. Okay, like they're
not
trying
true.
they're trying to move towards a new, I guess, mode of computing, and which is interesting because Microsoft, I think, is doing the same thing with the Surface Studios dial. But what there are two different approaches, right? Microsoft is trying to empower us to do what we've always done, but do it better, and give us like more tools to kind of, or for us to just
You
do that
love
sort of work.
Microsoft.
And what Apple is doing is just saying, hey, like we don't like this anymore, so do this. Even if it's like it's forcing a tide to change direction, and there's going to be some resistance to that, and it may not always work either. Like all of Apple's choices haven't been perfect.
Right, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So your thing here is that they're changing things because they want to, because it makes sense for them, and not
Yes.
because it makes sense.
It's not consumer
so
friendly.
When they
Yeah.
changed stuff from the however many pin charging port now to the Lightning, did you like kick up a
That's
big fuss
an
about
Apple standard, though. I
Yeah,
don't care
okay.
about that. That
Right,
should have
so-
been USB-C. I kicked up I was annoyed because they should have supported USB-C then.
Okay.
And now they have Lightning on their phones and USB-C on their laptops. Hey, who?
Right.
who
Right now, there's
probably-
definitely a mismatch. But
Yeah.
the thing is, again, I don't think that Apple was doing that just because it. Well, for sure, there are some benefits to the way
headphone
they built.
jack. iPhone
The
7.
headphone jack thing.
The only
It's not what
reason-
we're arguing here.
It's the same mentality, right? It's the only reason they did that was to make the haptic sensor, the touch, whatever you call it, make that bigger.
Right.
And as we've seen, it's
The
been
engine? Okay.
yeah,
And also a little
touch
bit of the
engine.
water resistance.
Maybe there have been
But they're
water
also-
resistance phones with headphone jacks.
Of
That's
course,
not
no, it's
impossible.
totally doable.
But
Yeah.
Apple made that change to make the touch engine bigger and better, and who cares? It didn't actually. That's not fundamentally changing how we're using our phones, unfortunately.
I think they had to take a risk with the headphone jack there because they're also sensing that the time now is probably better than any other time because Bluetooth headphones are finally being like reaching the stage where they're popular. They're nearly. I don't think they're ubiquitous, but they're very popular. Most people have them. You see them on planes everywhere. Everyone's wearing. So this is almost. It's
Yeah.
a little early, but they're okay now. They've probably considered the fact that the market's almost ready for
Right,
this.
but right now, talking about people wearing it on planes, right? If you're stuck on an airplane and you want to watch an in-flight movie and all you've got is your stupid AirPod, Lightning headphones, you're screwed. You got no option.
Oh,
other
yeah, no,
than
I've
the
made that
cheap-
argument.
Other than the cheap, like whatever the airline's going to give
Yeah.
you.
You're
So-
talking about use case. I'm talking about Apple's thinking.
Right,
and,
right.
And I think that's the
we
argument
don't know
here.
what Apple's thinking. All
Yeah.
we know is how it affects us, and it's crap.
I totally know what
Yeah.
Apple's thinking.
Yeah.
Well, here's one question, and then we'll move on to the next bit, which is
Which is going to be so exciting.
yeah, I'm
I'm excited for
pumped
the next
about
one.
it.
Yeah.
So exciting.
I mean, I guess maybe Apple isn't necessarily like actively deciding to tell their customers to go fuck themselves. But if these machines are catered towards a professional class in theory,
Which ones? The MacBook Pros?
the MacBook Pros. Let's leave the iPhone out of it,
Right.
and let's even leave the Touch Bar out of it, and focus purely on some of the smaller changes. If these devices are catered towards a professional crowd, which the name suggests, and which I think Apple has always kind of pitched them for creative professionals. These are people who have built up a rather expensive array of, accessories and goods. If you're talking about a professional photographer, that person is relying on a camera that probably has, takes photos and dumps them to an SD card. And now that they've removed the SD card from the machine, you now have to have an adapter, and you have to have an adapter specifically that's USB-C, which I don't actually know that I've seen an SD card adapter that's USB-C yet, which means you need also an adapter for the adapter.
Dongle life. All the way.
I mean, even if their goals are not nefarious, doesn't that sort of suggest that they don't care?
I don't think it's that they don't care, and I can't speak for them. But first of all, if you're talking about the professional audience, they're the ones that have the ability to go, and they probably already do have a bunch of accessories, right? So they probably already have a dock that could wire up some way or other. I know Devindra's looking at me like he's like, oh, SMH, I hate you, but I hate you more. That's my argument.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the thing is they are more willing and able to buy more accessories. Not that that's necessarily a good thing, but I mean, I think the argument here that if you're saying that professional people need all these, have all these other equipment that needs pairing to the laptop, they'll go out and buy it. It's for their work. They'll expense it. It's not a huge question.
I don't even know if that's the issue. To me, it is more about fundamental changes like, oh, we're removing function keys and replacing it with something that doesn't quite make sense and is honestly a little like just seeing an Apple person demo DJing on the touch bar. And I'm still like, you're embarrassing yourself. I'm
still very torn over the touch bar. Now that I've seen it in person and now that I've seen Dana play with it, it seems cool. It looks really interesting. I'm not sure what the use cases would be.
Yeah.
But again, with the Lenovo Yoga Book, right? That thing was kind of a dumpster fire for typing, but it was very cool. It was innovative, and you kind of have to give credit to people who want to innovate.
I have one too. I have a buzzer too.
Everybody's got a buzzer.
Yeah.
All right, done. We're done.
Okay.
Give me the point now.
Sorry, no.
You're fired.
Devindra is taking this one.
Sweep this.
This was just because I gave Gorman no points last time I was on, right? And
man.
Yeah,
getting back at me.
That's probably not a smart move, Cherlynn.
I did. I gave Trout all the points, and now Trout's at the top of the leaderboard, and I hate myself.
Oh, man.
I mean, he probably hates you more for
Trout
that.
or Gorman? Trout? Really?
Trout.
Why?
Oh, because
Trout loves me,
whoever wins is going to get saddled with CES stage stuff.
Yes.
And also whoever loses is going to get saddled with CES stage
I think
stuff.
Trout likes being saddled.
Well, you definitely made Mona's day. I know that.
Yes. Okay.
Because she was the winner. She's now in second. She's like, I'm safe, and I'm never going to come back.
We all know Momo's my OG, so.
She's not coming back on the show until after CES.
Anyway, all right. Fine.
What?
I'm a gracious loser. See, I told you I'll be nice
today. You're the best at being.
Yeah.
You're a loser. Anyway.
I take that back.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
I'll only kill you after this.
Let's move on to our last topic in Flame Wars, which is one I know Cherlynn is very excited to talk about.
I don't know why, but it's so interesting.
This segment might get a little bit not safe for work, just warning.
We will talk about what...
There's going to be discussion of
private
sex organs, I believe is the word that ended up in our headline for some reason.
That's a fun way
Who
of
wrote
putting
that
it.
again? I forget.
That was John.
Yeah, that would be John.
Excellent job.
It's I don't. Yeah, that's
I
a
like
rough
sex
spot.
organs.
That's a rough spot to be.
I think
in.
everyone
Yeah, I don't
You describe
envy
that.
him having to write that headline.
That was beautiful.
So Sony had to suspend a player from the PlayStation Network for posting an image, a screenshot from Watch Dogs 2. And the screenshot was of a woman lying on the ground that had a particularly graphic texture applied to her private parts.
Wait, I don't get why you guys say graphic texture. What is that? Why graphic texture? What is that?
Because you could actually see it.
Yeah, so this wasn't just like a sterile, like it wasn't she
Not
wasn't
like
a Barbie
doll.
Yeah, it wasn't
which
a Barbie
is what
doll.
We normally see in video games.
Yeah, it's usually just
If you
like
ever get to that point.
flat, maybe flesh colored.
So you mean there was like bumps and like textury things that you can feel and imagine? Okay.
I mean, there
Like
was
your
like
beard.
visible labia.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So
It was great. It was beautiful. I looked at it and I was like, Terrence was like, "Have you seen the picture?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna look at it now."
Can
and
that be the title of this podcast episode? Visible labia.
visible labia?
I'm sure that's
visible labia.
That's a
I'm sure
song
that's
somewhere.
a song.
So
Beautiful.
yeah, let's begin with this question, and then I'm sure we're gonna get off the rails completely. Devindra, was Sony right to suspend this player's account?
I mean, I have to argue this point. Yes, Sony is right because Sony has to enforce all of its rules. And even something like this, even though it's the dev's fault, this person shared it and made it very public. So that's kind of violates their network standards.
Cherlynn?
You said it. It was Sony's own developers that made this
It's not
image.
Sony's developers.
I mean, whatever the
Ubisoft.
developers.
That's not how games work, Cherlynn. Sony does not make all the...
Why does he keep encroaching on my time? And then if you cut
You
me
can
off
reset it,
now,
reset it. Go,
reset it,
go,
reset
go,
it. It was not the player's fault that this was in the game. So he didn't deserve to have his account suspended for just sharing what was in the game. What if he shared a screenshot of something else from the game? Would he get suspended? No. This is just sharing his experience and making the game more popular. Done.
Devindra, your rebuttal?
I mean, I actually pretty much agree. I'm just arguing the point that...
Oh, yeah. Welcome
Yeah.
to my world past two topics.
That's how this works, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is an
Devindra. I let
intellectual
you have-
exercise.
I let you have the
Somebody's
first
got to
two
play
points.
devil's
why-
advocate.
The thing is, you look at... Sony doesn't have all the context, right? When something like this happens, like, oh crap, there is a visible vagina, being shared on our system. Ban the player, get it off. That's the first thing you do, because you can't just wait for the context and this is actually something Ubisoft put in. Because I think a network censor would look at it and be like, oh, maybe they did something to kind of hack this image in there too. So you got to enforce it first.
So
and then
you're
they were
saying-
unbanned.
So you're
it's not
saying
like it's
Sony's
permanent.
first instinct was someone like made up a
Yeah.
pornographic image and pretended and called
if
it
I'm
Watch Dogs.
running, if I'm running a big network that's there are a lot of kids on it. There's probably parents who would be pissed off to see their kids seeing something like this. That's the first thing I do. It may be not the right thing, but it's the safest thing to do.
So,
Yeah.
just real quick, I do think it's important to point out that the player was banned because he posted it
Yes.
to PlayStation Network, which
Yes.
doesn't have like filters for adult content.
Right.
It's something
Because
that's
how else
explicit.
would it get there? Who knows?
It's not like he just posted it on Twitter.
Right.
He did also.
He
post
did
it,
also post it on Twitter.
which is great. So people like me who don't have PSN accounts and therefore did not realize that Ubisoft is the one that delivers, get to see it too. So
Mr. Sony doesn't make all the games, Cherlynn.
I
just wanna point this
know,
out.
I know.
Mr. Sony?
Okay?
Mr. Sony.
Mr. Sony. You
Or no,
mean
Mr.
Kai-
PlayStation.
yeah,
Mr.
it's
Sony
really
PlayStation.
freaking cool.
Yeah.
But I think I win this one because really, Sony has no right to ban a player for posting screenshots. Right?
I agree.
Come on. Oh.
I'm actually with you. I'm gonna
Ha!
I'm gonna give Cherlynn this one. I don't want to move on just yet, though. I do want to dwell on this for just like another minute or so.
Why? Because you haven't seen enough.
I don't have it up on my screen because
I wanted to have it up on my screen, but now my computer for some reason is dead. So
it won't come back on.
giving up.
Because I do want to, before we move on, really briefly, just like, what was Ubisoft thinking?
Yeah.
What were the developers thinking?
Yep.
How did this make it into the game?
And also the circumstances in which you find this or the player found these are very weird, and the graphic quality of everything.
Yeah.
The fact that it wasn't like a well tended to vagina.
No, this is
This is a woman
Yeah.
who let herself go, but
Yeah.
for some reason
this
there's
is a rogue developer who had way too much time on his.
Yeah, this is-
That's kind of what
Can I just say
happened.
first, there is a bat symbol carved into her pubic hair.
Yeah. Oh man.
So
course there is.
this guy had some weird dreams.
There's going to be some.
Yeah.
Girl, this guy or girl
The
developer.
aftermath of all this will be very interesting.
Yeah, and this is
Amazing.
This is not, and like if you do go find this picture, if you go
You
dig
should.
up this
You really should.
thing,
It's so good.
and sure, do it out of morbid curiosity, but this is not like
Yeah.
somebody who is like put like porn vagina in here. Like this is like if you Google like vagina medical problems, this is the sort of
Yes.
images
Don't
it's going to
Google
throw
that.
back at you.
And don't Google
I think Terrence spends a lot of time Googling that for some reason.
This poor woman needs to go to a clinic.
She really and
It's a
she
weird
looks
fetish
like
that
she was
this
very
guy-
abused, and it was not.
Oh.
It made my morning.
that. What?
I was
Why
telling
were you
T-
happy to see this?
No, because I was having a really bad morning. And then T showed me that, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not that bad," you know. What I mean?
I did not show you this to you.
You
Okay.
did.
I did not show any. I'm just
The buzzer. I'm gonna hit
HR.
the buzzer right now.
I just want HR to know I did
That's
not
true,
show
Off the
this.
rails.
Terrence did not. I looked it up myself. Yeah, that's true.
I
We
am
have-
not passing around pictures of video game vaginas at work. All right.
But go look it up.
It
It's
is our job, I
quite beautiful.
guess.
It's a work of art.
Yeah. Ooh.
It spawned from the brains of someone who has not seen porn, and that's great.
Yeah. This person either
I
doesn't
think
know.
it's very specific taste.
I think
Yeah.
it's a message to someone. Actually,
Maybe this person was like a former gynecologist or something.
too much of these?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
probably.
There's something really. That person's got it. Whoever did this though has got to
It's
be
amazing.
fired, right?
This is- I
Whoever
think-
did it is gonna be fired. We can agree.
No.
I hope so.
Kudos to this person. I would
No.
be friends
No,
with this person.
no.
Whatever.
And I worry for you, Cherlynn.
Why?
I do
Why wouldn't you want to be
sometimes.
friends with someone who snuck something so cool into the game?
Oh man,
I don't know
It's
that
not
it's
really
cool.
cool.
It's
it's not
Okay.
cool. It's kind of messed up.
It's actually kind
it
of
is-
upsetting.
Yes,
I
and
guess it
super
is kind of
upsetting.
messed up.
Um,
I guess.
I like we've come full circle, or you're aware.
I like how
of the
Terrence's first thing to me when we were discussing the topic was, "This is kind of horrifying." I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is great!" And we were like, "Oh, wait, you meant the idea of this?" Yes,
Yeah.
it is. That is horrifying. I
yeah,
agree.
it's
I am not for sexual violence against women.
no,
Or
and,
women.
All right,
and that is like
that's how
it's-
we end this.
That's
Yeah, let's just move on.
That's it. Yeah.
It's